Welcome in, Bills Mafia. Happy Saturday night of Jets Week. I'm the founder of Built in Buffalo, Dave Myers. That is the co-founder, Akeem 𝐸𝐻𝐿, and we are less than, I don't know, say about 16 hours away from the Bills, heading to MetLife to play the good old New York Jets, New Jersey Jets. Akeem, how you feeling, man? How you feel about this game?
Hey, Akeem 𝐸𝐻𝐿. If you don't know us by now, ladies and gentlemen, please get to know us. It's Jets Week. I feel good, but not great. You know, is that okay? Is it okay to feel good, but not great based on what we saw last week? That's where I'm at right now. How are you doing, DM3?
I'm good. I'm a little skeptical. I do like how Josh Allen played, so I am positive because we always have Josh, right? We're always going to lean on that, but I'm a little concerned, and we're going to get into it. We got a loaded show. We got a ton of topics to talk about. We're going to talk about Ed Oliver, the Bills defense overall, the outlook without him in the lineup. We're going to talk about the Bills run game, the Bills offense, Josh Allen, the Bills wide receivers, the Jets DBs, who needs to play well, keys of the game, all that good stuff. So, to go back to your question about how I feel, I don't know, honestly, because week one is always kind of an outlier, I feel like, for a lot of teams, because I've seen the Bills play good week one, and I've also in the past seen the Bills not play good, and then that not be an indictment on who they are for the rest of the season. So I'm concerned that the Bills defense doesn't have the guy that played the best in week one. I'm a little concerned health-wise for the secondary because we really don't know if Trey's going to play, but there's a lot of stuff that we can get into. But I mean, I think when you have 17, I think you should be positive every week, no matter what. I know there's been history of Josh playing against the Jets, and especially in that building has not been always great for him. That's where he tore his UCL. There's been some other games, the 9/11 game, on Aaron Rodgers' first game that they end up losing to Zach Wilson. So I know there's all that stuff, but you know, we got a lot to talk about. We're going to hash it all out here tonight on Billsology. Thank you everyone for watching. If you're tuning in right now, if you're watching on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button, smash the notification bell so you can get all the notifications when we go live. If you're on Facebook, share, comment, like, and if you're watching on X, please. And we're on Akeem, we're on a new platform now. What platform are we on now? I don't know if it's going to be seen on there, but where are we at now?
We are officially official. We are on Twitch. So
What?
If you're tuned into Twitch and you can see us, hey, welcome, and we appreciate you as we start our new Twitch channel. So we are right in the process of growing that for our brand as well.
Yeah, starting the journey out there. We're trying to hit all the platforms. So, hey, Rich, the floor is yours. Where do you want to start with this Bills Jets game? A lot of news this week, a lot of stuff happening. Where would you like to start first, my man?
Let's start with the injury, which seems more significant based on the way he played and the way the rest of our defense played. Let's start with Ed Oliver.
Well, I will say one positive note from this. He's not on the IR. They didn't put him on the IR. So they called up 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐞. So to me, I'm concerned about how it was. I don't want to say it was kind of covered up, but I'm concerned as to why there was really no information for a while. And then the team kind of came out and said, yeah, he was stepped on in practice. So him walking around, there's video out there of him walking around after practice in the walking boot. Seemed like he was fine. He didn't have the scooter with him. I'm sure that was precautionary. But to me, watching the Ravens game back and watching the All-22 and definitely focusing in on the Bills defensive line and what went wrong against Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson and that offensive line of the Ravens, Ed Oliver was a shining star, if you will, one of the very small pieces that looked positive in that game. And to have him out is going to hurt because I believe, number one, it's going to hurt the chemistry of having him in there as being the true 3-tech that plays the most snaps and building that rapport with the guys around him. But number two, he was the guy that was dominant. I mean, he made plays down the stretch. He made plays in the beginning of the game. He was making plays all over the field, caused the fumble, had a sack, couple big boy plays on Derrick Henry. So absolutely. How do you feel about Ed Oliver not playing? Because I think there was a lot of criticism about Ed Oliver's season last year. We talked about it in depth before the season started, that this needs to be a year Ed Oliver breaks out because of all the turnover at the defensive tackle and defensive line position. So for a guy like TJ Sanders, you got to think that his number is going to be called, right? So kind of lay out how you're feeling about Ed Oliver and what your outlook is for this game.
So when we talk about the Buffalo Bills and we talk about their defense, what we talk about the most, right? We talk about when it's late in games, when it's deep in games, and a play has to be made from our defense. Who is going to make that play on the defensive side of the ball for the Buffalo Bills for that momentum swing or for that momentum shift? And for last week, it was Ed Oliver. 6 tackles, 3 tackles for a loss, 1 forced fumble. The Buffalo Bills was poor defending the Baltimore Ravens run game and Derrick Henry, but the times that they did stop him, Big Ed Oliver was the biggest proponent to that. He was the guy that jumped off the screen for the Buffalo Bills. So now that he won't be available, and all week I've been hearing I've been hearing this phrase, New York Jets is Baltimore light. New York Jets is Baltimore light. I don't even know what that means. Where I'm from, are they a poor man's Baltimore Ravens? I guess that's what people are trying to say because of the ability to run from the quarterback and Justin Fields, the ability to run between the tackles and have some speed and have some depth in the running back room with Breece Hall and Braylon Allen and guys like that. I can see some semblance of offenses between the Baltimore Ravens and the New York Jets, and because of that, obviously we want to be able to stop the run, and we haven't been wasn't able to do so week 1. So Ed Oliver being hurt, being injured for this game, it definitely raises some eyebrows, and we hope that guys like TJ Sanders can step up, and Deion Walker and Daquan Jones. We hope those guys can step up in missing Ed Oliver's presence. Now, we don't know what this meant for Ed Oliver. It could have been just a one great game, or it could have been fine tuning, so to speak, to the rest of the season, what we could have possibly seen from Ed Oliver. So me personally, even though he's hurt, I want to see him come back when he's healthy, right? Because he battled injuries in the past, ankle injuries in the past. He came back and he wasn't effective for that first month he coming back. So I would like to see him healthy first and foremost, and hopefully we can clean up our run defense, because in my opinion, we have to look to Bobby Babish some. Bobby Babish is the defensive coordinator. He has to look to, okay, we missing one of our key cogs with Ed Oliver. He has to do a better job in getting our defensive line, our defense ready to play and stop the run. So hopefully Bobby Babish is ready to step up along with the rest of the players on the Buffalo Bills defensive line.
Yeah, my concern too is a lot of people say multi-weeks, but when you say multi-weeks, the Bills play again 4 days later. So I don't think if he's going to be ready to play against Miami, obviously that's a good sign, but I honestly think that he's going to be out until week 4 because you have 2 games in 4 days. Why rush it? You're playing the Jets and the Dolphins. Say what you want. It is still an NFL game and you want your best players playing, but I don't know if maybe they're going to look at it from that aspect of the Dolphins couldn't stop the Colts at nearly at all. So the Jets are a little bit more of an issue, I think, because of, like you said, because of Breece Hall and because of Justin Fields and things like that. So let's stick with the Bills' defensive line and the run defense, because we've heard it all week. We've heard about how they couldn't stop a nosebleed, about how that was just a bad matchup for the Bills. The Ravens seem to always give them fits on the ground. Obviously, we're talking about a generational player in Derrick Henry, a guy who went for 200 in a game against them last year. In week 4, and then it was on pace for 200, but I feel like the Ravens got away from it in the fourth quarter. So who for the Bills on defense are you looking towards? Obviously, you talked about TJ Sanders and Deion Walker. We didn't even talk really about DaQuan Jones, but who else on that defensive line do you think can be a helping hand, or someone that you think, even if it's an edge defender, who needs to kind of step up in Ed Oliver's place this week, seeing how we didn't really get anything from Greg Rousseau last week. Joey Bosa, there was a couple small doses of some plays there where we saw the old Joey Bosa, but other than that, there really wasn't a lot going on. What's your thoughts on the Bills' defensive line and who needs to kind of take a step forward here to stop the Jets this week?
I got a little list, right? We can start with You know, just because I'm starting with him doesn't mean he should be on the forefront. But let's start with TJ Sanders. The Buffalo Bills moved up in the second round to get him. We've been hearing all off season how he's quick, he's fast, he's athletic, he's going to be making impact. Well, this is a game, right? Ed Oliver's gone. We're worried about the defensive tackles. We moved up to get the, TJ Sanders. This is the type of game where, yes, he's a rookie, but this is a game where you want to see him make some plays. He doesn't have to be the immediate tone setter, but he has to be a guy that's going to come in and make that immediate impact. For the Buffalo Bills to do anything this season in terms of going on to the trajectory of hoisting the Lombardi Trophy, their defensive line, the rookie defensive linemen, some of them, or at least one of them, in my opinion, would have to step up. And I would think TJ Sanders have to be the guy. So with no Ed Oliver in the fold, Ed Oliver and TJ Sanders got similar build. They both sideline to sideline D tackles. They both do well in the 3 technique. He's filling right in for Ed Oliver. So TJ Sanders is a guy that I would like to see why against the Jets. Okay, I see why the Buffalo Bills moved up to get you. You know, that's the kind of play I want to see from TJ Sanders at some point. I'm not saying be dominant, but make plays. It's okay to make mistakes, but make plays as well. The second one, Joey Bosa. First of all, I'm just excited that Joey Bosa survived the game. Every game Joey Bosa survives unscathed, not hurt, is a plus for the Buffalo Bills, and in my opinion, makes us more dangerous come December, come January, and come possibly February. So Joey Bosa, I believe, staying healthy is the biggest thing for him, and I think if he's going to stay healthy, his talent is too immense to pass up in terms of him not making an impact. So I believe once he's getting healthy and once he get an understanding of the Bills defense, he's going to make an impact because of that. So Joey Bosa is the guy that second game in, he played 62% of the snaps last week. I know Bobby Babish was talking about we don't want him to play at probably that much, but with Ed Oliver out, it may change things once again. So hopefully Ed Oliver come contribute and stay healthy. And yes, last but not least, Gregory Rousseau, right? Gregory Rousseau got what? Contract extension, $80 million, $20 mil per year, invisible week 1, right? We have to 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", over 250 pounds. He's supposed to be that edge setting guy. We struggled against run defense. He specializes in being a great run defender, setting the edge. We need that tone setting edge defender against the New York Jets. We need Ed Oliver to pop out on film, on tape, and make some plays for the Buffalo Bills this Sunday. So 3 guys I'm looking at is TJ Sanders, Joey Bosa, and Gregory Rousseau.
Yeah, I had Joey Bosa and Greg Rousseau. Can we get a pass rush? I want to see. I understand. I don't want to beat a dead horse about the Bills' run defense, but the Ravens understood the assignment, right? They knew that we're going to run the ball with Derrick Henry, and there's nothing that the Bills can do. They have inexperienced defensive tackles in that rotation, and if you go back and you look at any of the all 22, you look at film, you break down advanced analytics, a lot of the big Derrick Henry runs happened when TJ Sanders and or Deion Walker were on the field. So this is something that Greg Rousseau has been touted for being this excellent run defender. We've been told, well, he's not always going to get, double-digit sacks and all this, but his wingspan and all this stuff, he's an asset in the run defense. Well, now it's time. I think we need some help off the edge in the run game. We need Joey Bosa, which I was kind of surprised at how much he actually did play, because like you said, it's like I was on pins and needles for a little bit. I'm like, man, Joey Bosa's played like almost the whole first half. Like finally, after Lamar beat him that one time, and then he finally got him the second time, then he had that really big, that nice negative play where he made that tackle, and he was just standing there looking at, at the rest of the defense like, yeah, I'm doing this. I need you, the rest of you 10 guys to do your part. So I think that Bosa and Rousseau need to create some pressure, because there was a couple comments back I saw talking about how there's not a concern from some Bills fans because the Jets aren't going to be able to keep up with the Bills offensively. Okay, that's fine, but if the Jets are going to drop back and pass, we actually have to have a pass covered or a pass rush that can actually get there because of our secondary. And then I do like this comment here, and I wanted to ask this. This wasn't in our notes, but Landon Jackson being inactive in week 1, do you think this is the time where maybe they bring in Landon Jackson just to kind of see what he's got and throw him into the rotation? We didn't get really anything from AJ Epinesa in week 1. What's your thoughts there on those two guys?
Landon Jackson, I haven't seen anything from him to make me think that he's ready for an NFL game. So I'm honestly, I'm not sure. AJ Epinesa, he is what I expected him to be. I don't expect AJ Epinesa to, make the bunch of splash plays. I do expect him on a rotational role when the opportunity calls to make the play, to do his 111th. But I'm not expecting AJ to make any splash plays, so to speak. So that's kind of a murky situation, because I'm not sure, how long AJ Epinesa, call a spade a spade, is going to be in the fold for the Buffalo Bills. We got 2 guys suspended for 6 games. When those 2 guys come back, they have to be replaced with 2 other guys. And I'm thinking AJ Epinesa might be one of those guys that may be replaced. So I'm interested to see how he performs for the next 5 games. But as far as Landon Jackson, I haven't seen much from him at all during the course of the entire offseason to put him in an NFL game and expect him to contribute.
I think too, also, like, we have to remember who the Bills played. Everybody was saying over the course of the offseason, all the media outlets, everybody was saying that the Baltimore Ravens were the most talented football team in the NFL. And we know what Lamar Jackson is. We know how hard it is to sack Lamar Jackson. I saw a comment in the chat saying that the Bills pressured Lamar 12 times and he only threw 19 passes. I get that. But again, the Bills have to get home. I understand it's Lamar Jackson. I understand the athleticism, things like that. But is this not, like Akeem said, it's not Baltimore light as far as they are as good as the Ravens, but offensive scheme wise, if you look at who they have, Breece Hall can beat you on multiple ways. He can beat you out of the backfield. He can beat you running the ball. Same with, Justin Fields. He can beat you with his legs. He can beat you with his arm. He proved it. I mean, he threw for over 200 yards against the Steelers. I know it's week 1. And again, I prefaced last week's game on our show by saying I don't want to overreact to anything that happened against the Ravens week 1, because there's time for things to be worked on. We knew that the defensive line was going to need help. We knew that the defensive line is going to have 2 guys missing for 6 weeks that are going to come back and immediate impacts on the run game. So they just have to hold the fort until those 2 guys get here, because those 2 guys, I firmly believe, when Brandon Beane signed both of them, were for 100% for run support. 100%. These were guys that Brandon Beane looked at in the offseason and said, we get beat by the run for the last 7-8 years. How can we improve? And those guys are coming back in week 8 because of the week 7 bye. So we talked about the Bills' run defense. Let's talk about the Bills' run offense. Now, the game got away from the Bills. Obviously, they were down 15 points in the 4th quarter, so they had to kind of abandon the run. But from what you saw from the Bills in the first half, when they did attempt to run the ball, and even a little bit into the second half, what was your thoughts on the effectiveness of James Cook, the lack of use of Ray Davis? I think Ty Johnson only had 2 carries. Now, he did have 1 decent run, but what's your thoughts? James Cook averaged 3 yards a carry, 3.4 yards a carry, which is low for him. So what's your thoughts? Is this something you're going to be watching to look at to see if the Bills can get after it this week and kind of control the clock, keep the Jets off the field, knowing that there's some issues on defense? What's your thoughts there?
I think it's going to be very interesting to see, right? On as far as running the ball, you definitely want to have success running the football. 3 yards per carry is definitely not going to get it done. It doesn't help when you're down multiple touchdowns and now you got to eliminate your identity, basically what the Buffalo Bills like to do best, because you're down by multiple scores. But I know we had a conversation a couple of weeks ago. Right. And again, I seen the snap count and the percentage, but I don't remember off the top of my head as I'm speaking. But we was talking about the James Cook contract extension. And I believe I asked you a question. I was like, do you believe, Dave, that because of the contract, because of the money he's now commanding, do you think he's going to be in more than 45% of his snaps? Right. And we kind of went back and forth on it. And what I seen this past Sunday was James Cook, 52-yard reception. James Cook was in on a lot of them passing downs where last year it might have been Johnson in the game, right? So now I'm thinking, all right, okay, because of the money that James Cook commands, is his snap usage, is his snap percentage going to be an uptick because of that? And it looked like in the Baltimore Ravens game, it was. And he took advantage of every opportunity, James Cook, in terms of catching the ball out the backfield. Of course, he didn't get the yards that we would want him to get, but catching the ball and not making any critical errors and mistakes is beneficial for James Cook and his snaps and his usage. But overall, we want to be able to run the ball. We want to be able to run the ball. We want to be able to have that as an identity. I believe the Buffalo Bills, if they didn't get down, if the game was closer, despite even averaging only 3 yards per carry, Joe Brady would have been stubborn and he would have still ran that ball. So this game, I don't expect the Buffalo Bills, anything can happen, but I don't expect the Buffalo Bills to be down multiple scores against the New York Jets. So we'll see how the offense handles that situation in MetLife Stadium with James Cook running the football, but we need to average a better yards per carry than we averaged this past weekend.
I agree 100%. I just feel like the Ravens were ready for the Bills run game. I feel like week one, now to me, it was a little concerning only because the 5 guys up front were the 5 guys that were up front all of last year. And those 5 guys typically are one of the top, I think they're a top 3 offensive line in the NFL. So maybe it was just week one, maybe the play calling just wasn't the best in the beginning part of the game because pass protection from the offensive line down the stretch was really good. So you talked about James Cook and the targets as far as in the receiving game. And I have it pulled up here. Josh Allen threw 8. There was 8 targets to running backs, and 5 of them were to James Cook. So that tells you that, yes, he's going to be in there in the important parts of the game. Now, I don't think they're going to obviously go away from the Ty Johnson in the 2-minute and 2 and 4 minute drill. That's the bread and butter that they went with last year. I think that's going to continue. And like you said, I feel like this just needs something that we just need repetition. Like they got behind. There was no chemistry. It didn't seem like it was just coming at any point in time. So they just abandoned it and let Josh be Josh. So perfect segue into Josh Allen. There's a plethora of different things I want to talk about with Josh Allen because I can come on here and tell you how great Josh Allen is. I can come on here and tell you how amazing that game was on Sunday. But I really wanted to talk about what that means going forward and kind of like what the outlook of that could be with the Bills offense this season as opposed to what it was last year and kind of if it's growing and progressing even more into what it can be. So I know Josh Allen's kind of been in the media because I didn't really want to talk about it, but you brought it up right before we went live in the Draymond Green comments. So you want to kind of touch on that real quick? Oh, you're muted.
I said, absolutely. I wouldn't mind touching on that at all. I mean, Jay, obviously, I think we all seen it by now. We posted it on our social media platforms that Draymond Green, Golden State Warriors power forward, said that Josh Allen is not the guy. And it's laughable. It's partially laughable. And I was partially upset when I seen that because to me, it was just like he should understand. Out of all people, in my opinion, Draymond Green should understand because he's a glorified role player. He's a hell of a role player, right? But that's what he is. He is an excellent role player, and he's going to go to a Hall of Fame because he's an excellent role player. Josh Allen is a great quarterback. How come he didn't talk about his position, Draymond Green's position, being a role player? Why it gotta be, hey, Josh Allen is not that guy? You should understand being a role player that you need other players to help that guy be that guy. You out of all people should understand that. So instead of saying Josh Allen is not that guy, I would have respected more if you say, okay, with the players around him, maybe he doesn't have the necessary players around him or he hasn't had. Does he have enough role players? Does he have enough complementary pieces? Because that's what he is. Right? Does he do Josh Allen have enough complementary pieces to win a championship and hoist the Lombardi trophy like Steph Curry? Steph Curry is a great player, but he needed the necessary complementary pieces. I'm Exhibit A. Does Josh Allen have any Draymond Greens on his Buffalo Bills team? That's what I expected Draymond Green to say. And for him to act like Josh Allen's not that guy, it was real upsetting for me because of the role he plays in a professional sport. He should understand himself.
100%.
Right? So
yeah,
that's how
100%. Like I saw that and it was like, of course he said that. But we know who Draymond Green is. That's the type of stuff that he would say. So I've seen a lot of different things this week about, Josh Allen and how he played in the fourth quarter. And again, I've even seen it in the chat here in the show. Like we saw what Josh Allen was able to do last season as far as being able to control the game. He brought the turnovers way down. He was the only person responsible for the Bills turning the ball over last year. 6 interceptions and 2 fumbles. Now, it was nice to know, and it is nice to know that we have that in the arsenal, right? Break glass in case of emergency. Josh Allen, put the cape on, however you want to phrase it. But I don't want Josh throwing for 400 yards a game, because either two things are happening. Either the offense, the run game's not working, or the Bills are losing. I feel like the more that Josh is going to take chances and the more that Josh is going to try to be Josh, which is great, there's going to be mistakes that are going to come along with it. Right now, we saw a stretch last year against the Lions and against the Rams and against the 49ers where he didn't make any mistakes and he just played lights out. And that's fine, but we can't expect him to do that every week. And I think that's why we all were excited last year about the 30 passing and 30 rushing touchdowns, about averaging things out and controlling the clock, and James Cook having the big breakout season with the touchdowns and stuff like that. So, Akeem, what would you prefer from Josh Allen? I know we all like stats and we all like Josh being AFC offensive player of the week, and we all like to look at him at the tops of all the rankings and things like that. But if you go back and look at his season from 24, he's not at the top of the list of a lot of stats other than total touchdowns, and that's because he had 12 on the ground. So what's your thoughts? What kind of Josh Allen does Akeem want to see every Sunday? Do you want to see the gunslinger? Do you want to see a more controlled Josh Allen? What's your thoughts?
I want to see whatever's necessary to win the football game from Josh Allen. And that may look different from week to week, right? Last week, the Josh Allen that we saw last week is a Josh Allen that I never seen before. And what I mean by that is I don't remember a game where the Buffalo Bills was down against the likes of a Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes or one of these great defenses and one of these other great quarterbacks when he was down and he needed the points and he got the points, right? He got the points necessary. He got us in field goal range. He got us down the field. I don't remember a specific game that I could say, well, Josh Allen, he went down against Lamar Jackson's Baltimore Ravens or Patrick Mahomes' Kansas City Chiefs, and he won us that football game. So, in my opinion, that was another step in the elevation for Josh Allen. He had games where he had game-winning drives, but not in the magnitude of facing another great player on the other side like himself. So that was great to see. When we needed that type of Josh Allen, break glass case of emergency, when we needed that type of Josh Allen, we got that type of Josh Allen. So that was great to see. So the Josh Allen that can step in any arena against anybody like Joe Burrow or Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes and come out victorious in that fashion was something that I haven't seen before, and I was excited to see it last Sunday. Overall, I just want to see Josh Allen play smart football to win the game from week to week. The Buffalo Bills got open. The receivers got open. The receivers had separation. Keon Coleman, Joshua Palmer, Dalton Kincaid, Khalil Shakir.
You're lying.
He was dotting it up, and it was great to see the Buffalo Bills wide receivers get open and make plays for Josh Allen. Josh Allen, in my opinion, yes, he's the guy that we talked about, but he had help. Joshua Palmer played a hell of a game. Keon Coleman played a hell of a game. Dalton Kincaid, everybody, when they got called upon, they took advantage of their opportunity. So that's something that, in my opinion, I was wondering about Josh Allen and the wide receiving room. Can they get open for Josh Allen? Can they stretch the field for Josh Allen? And they done so. So I think what we seen last year with James Cook running the ball, we want to see that this year, obviously. And we want to see them put everything together where Josh Allen can now beat you in a multitude of ways. And I think that's the slow progression. That's the slow ball of clay that's forming for this season in the 2025 Buffalo Bills.
That is so funny that you say that about separation and guys getting open, because I think a lot of stuff that was lost. Now, Keon's gotten his flowers this week, and rightfully so, but a lot of stuff that's been lost in that comeback in that game from the Bills and their offense and Josh Allen was the other players, like you said, that stepped up. Jackson Hawes with that big catch right over the middle, the first touchdown from Dalton Kincaid. I still don't know how he caught that. It had to have put an imprint into his shoulder pads, because Josh Allen threw that with purpose. The big play from James Cook on that 52-yard little dump off. And like you said, Palmer was getting open. And we talked about it all offseason. He's not flashy. And he was a guy that all the analytical people and all the film people were saying that this is the perfect receiver for Josh Allen, because he just gets open. Whatever it is, he just gets open, whether it's the routes that are being called for him to run, whatever it is. And then, of course, you have Keon. And like you said, I mean, Kincaid had a good game. Knox had a good game. Josh threw the ball to 10 different receivers, including the backs, so in tight ends. So to me, like you said, I was talking to somebody offline this week, and it's a friend of mine who lives in Buffalo who goes to a few games here and there. And I said, is it possible that Josh Allen is still growing as not a quarterback, not just a scramble? We know how he is off schedule, but as a pocket awareness quarterback. Is his IQ still, and he's learning that aspect of the game? What's your thoughts on that? Do you think it's possible for year 8, from the jump that he took from year 1 to 2 to 3, when Diggs got there and all that stuff, is it possible that he's still ascending? He's still getting better at certain things, mechanics and anticipation and all that stuff. Is it possible that he's still getting better?
It is absolutely possible. We could look at the last 2 games. The Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs, where he threw that ball to Dalton Kincaid, and he got blitzed. I don't think Josh Allen picked up on that blitz well enough pre-snap. I believe it was something in there that he thought he saw, but he didn't catch everything pre-snap. And because he didn't catch and the Kansas City Chiefs was blitzing on plays prior to that, and it just looked like he was a step behind the Kansas City Chiefs blitz. It just looked like they just coached a little better than he was able to see the progression for those 2 plays. And on Sunday night of last week, the Baltimore Ravens tried to do similar things. They tried to pressure, they tried to press and hurry the throw of Josh Allen by blitzing, but it just looked pre-snap. He just looked in control. He understood who was coming, when they was coming, where they was coming from. And because of that, he was able to make the right read and make the Baltimore Ravens pay. So I believe, yes, there is. And even in year 8, Josh Allen can definitely get better. And I think we saw glimpses of that by last week, by just how he commanded the huddle and how he controlled the line of scrimmage with his pre-snap read. So yes, I absolutely think Josh Allen can get better in year 8.
It's going to be fun to watch this season if he's still trending up, because we heard the MVP conversation all off season about who should have deserved it and all that stuff. So let's talk about the Bills wide receivers for a minute. We kind of touched on it when we were talking about Josh Allen. So the Jets, if a lot of you guys don't know, the Jets play primarily man-to-man defense. So in seasons previous, we would have thought that may have caused a little bit of an issue, not for Josh Allen, but for the wide receivers. Because I feel like Josh can get the ball to where Josh needs to get the ball to. But as far as the wide receivers, Keon Coleman and Joshua Palmer were in the top 10 in yards from week 1 against man coverage. So, Akeem, how does that portray a nice palette for Josh Allen? How does that represent itself for for the Bills offense this coming Sunday? I mean, the Jets obviously don't have a great secondary. I feel like they're good in man, but I don't feel like they're great. So how does this lay out for the Bills and the wide receivers that they have? Not just Keon Coleman and Joshua Palmer, but Khalil Shakir. If Curtis Samuel's going to play, obviously, throw Dalton Kincaid in there, all this other stuff. So how does this make you feel with knowing that the Jets play man and the Bills finally have, it looks like from at least week 1, the Bills have some man beaters on the team?
As in terms of getting open, I'm not necessarily worried about if the Buffalo Bills are getting open. I seen a lot of sticky coverage last year where at times it just looked like the Buffalo Bills receivers just struggled to get open and to make windows for Josh Allen, or those windows were small for Josh Allen. This year it just seems like the Buffalo Bills on the outside. First of all, Josh Allen is going to his outside receivers. If the week one is any indication, with Joshua Palmer and 𝐾𝐭 coming on the outside, and they both commanded a ton of targets. So that was refreshing to see. And just overall, I believe that the Buffalo Bills, this week one, what happened week one is exactly what they foresaw when they signed a guy like Joshua Palmer, when they drafted a guy like 𝐾𝐭 Coleman and believed in their development and progression process. They believed that these guys would be able to open up the windows, the throwing lanes and the throwing windows for Josh Allen, and those throwing radius, that catch radius could be bigger. And week one, we saw glimpses of it. Week two against the New York Jets, I don't think, like you said, they have a great secondary, but I do think they have a great cornerback. I believe Sauce Gardner is one of the better cover cornerbacks in the NFL. So we'll see if it's going to be 𝐾𝐭 Coleman or Joshua Palmer. I'm thinking they're going to lean towards 𝐾𝐭 Coleman, put Sauce on Coleman, but we'll see how the Buffalo Bills adjust there. But I'm firmly confident that even if Sauce Gardner takes away one of our receivers, our other receivers that we have an ability to get open. Brandon Stevens, their other corner, the number 2 corner that they played a ton of money this offseason. He gave up a ton of plays. I'm not sure if he can stay with a 𝐾𝐭 Coleman or Joshua Palmer throughout the course of 60 minutes of an NFL football game, but we'll see. I like the Buffalo Bills receiving room. They don't have the household name, but they have multiple different skill sets in that room to be dangerous.
Yeah, between Coleman and Palmer, they got 20 targets for 173 yards. So Josh trusted both of those guys. And to me, what I liked about 𝐾𝐭 Coleman was there was some routes that were very contested, but there was some routes against Jair Alexander where he got open, and it looks like it was easy for 𝐾𝐭. And we talked all off season about how 𝐾𝐭's not a guy that's a separator. He's just not. He's a physical guy that you want in the red zone. You want contested catches. You want those back shoulder fades where he can outmuscle guys. So it was nice to see Joshua Palmer get involved, especially on that last drive. He went to Palmer, he went to Coleman, and then they were in field goal range. So it's really good to see. So let's move on. Let's talk about the Bills linebackers. Let's kind of move back over to the defense a little bit. Matt Milano and Terrell Bernard, if you watched film, Akeem, I know you did, and I watched the All-22. It seems like they got lost. I don't want to say lost in the sauce a lot, but they need to play better. They both graded under 30 for PFF. Say what you want about PFF, if you like the grades or not. I feel like that was very true to what I saw going back and watching. Now, and Matt Milano's coming back from last year. I think he was still trying to figure things out in the playoffs, started to trend in the right direction, heading against Baltimore, then against Kansas City. So how do you feel about Terrell Bernard and Matt Milano? And do you think that this was just one of those games where nobody was stopping anyone? They weren't obviously being able to find lanes to help in the run defense because the defensive line was getting blown up so much. So what's your thoughts there? Because having really good linebacking play, I think, is going to go a long way to help that back four that we've all been concerned about in the DBs. What's your thoughts there?
Matt Milano has been an all-pro linebacker in this NFL. Matt Milano has, throughout the course of this offseason, he's looked like the old Matt Milano. I haven't seen him and said, Matt Milano looks slow. He looks like a shell of himself, right? And Terrell Bernard, obviously, he got the contract extension. And based on that contract extension, it shows how we feel about the player in Terrell Bernard. Do they have to play better? Absolutely. We have to have those guys play better. They are important pieces to the Buffalo Bills defense. And those two guys specifically, we don't have like that superstar player, so to speak. But if we have star players, Terrell Bernard and Matt Milano name may come up as that. Who's the star player on the Bills? A lot of people will put Matt Milano up there, and I think Terrell Bernard would garner some votes as well. So absolutely, I believe they have to play better. But I'm also wondering, like, it is a big boys game. It is a big boys game. Terrell Bernard, as far as this past Sunday, when you're facing the offensive line like the Baltimore Ravens and you're facing Derrick Henry, you got to put your big boy pants on, right? And Terrell Bernard, Matt Milano, what they weigh about 225, 235, so maybe that wasn't the best matchup for them. But then I also have to think about our coach. Now, I don't want to drift, right? But I think about Bobby Babbage Jr. a little bit. Like, is he now? It could be me. It could be, hey, Rich, because I said some things this week, and people was like, yo, hey, Rich, you're bugging. It's only week one. That's it happens, right? But is Bobby Babbage putting the players in the best positions to make plays? So that's what I'm going to look at more film tonight to see, was these run plays doomed for the get-go, or did the Buffalo Bills linebackers, did they make the wrong read? Did they shoot the wrong gap? What's going on here? But I have confidence and faith that based on their track record, Terrell Bernard and Matt Milano will indeed perform better. But I have some thoughts in terms of, is Bobby Babbage even the guy? I know it's week one. I know it's week one, but I'm not even sure if he's the guy for the Buffalo Bills. That remains to be seen, and we will see. But yeah.
Yeah, it's concerning because he's coached every position on the defense. Secondary, safety. He was the cornerbacks coach, the linebackers coach. I mean, if you ask me, and I'm going to be honest here, and I don't want this to sound like the sky is falling here, but watching the All-22, Bernard and Milano took some bad angles on some plays. Now, I understand there was no resistance up front. There was virtually no resistance on run plays up front at all. So that it was react. It was a lot of reactionary. Same can be said about the safety play on some run plays. Like, there was just horrible angles taken by the Bills defense all night. And I understand you're not always going to be going up against a 6'3" missile in Derrick Henry every week, and you're going to have more sustainable guys that you can bring down, like Breece Hall. He's still dynamic, but he's a lot easier to tackle, right? I did see a comment asking if the Bills will play 3 linebackers. They played 3 linebackers against the Ravens. Dorian Williams was in there a ton, and it didn't matter. If you're taking bad angles, you're taking bad angles. I don't think that's a coaching thing, but I'm like you said in one of our chats, and you kind of alluded to it, that you think that Bobby Babbage might be in a little bit over his head. And there's layers to that, what your statement. And I understand your layers because I know you. I've known you for long enough to know what you mean by that. It's not that Bobby Babbage doesn't understand how to coach defense. It means there was a lot of turnover with the Bills defensive line. There's a lot of new players in there. There's a lot of guys that aren't playing because of suspensions. There's a lot of rookies. There's a new defensive line coach that they brought in to help with, blitzing and all these other stunts and stuff like that. And the back end of the defense, the secondary is not good. It's not a secret that the safeties are concerned and the DBs aren't healthy. So I think that when you say he might be in over his head, you have to peel back all the layers and look at everything and realize what he's dealing with. And this might be a situation where McDermott needs to try to control more of what's going on until the rest of the defense gets up to speed on where they need them to be. Because if you look at last season, the Bills defense was not good last season. It just was not
at all.
And when Sean McDermott was calling the defense 2 seasons ago, the defense was a top 5 defense. They were blitzing more. They were a lot more aggressive. They looked a lot more physical. And that went away last year. And that was when Bobby Babbage was calling plays for the first time. So we can't say the sky is falling with Bobby Babbage because I believe that he is a really good defensive coordinator. I just feel like there's a lot of variables that are weighing on him. And at some point, I said to you during the Ravens game, I said, is McDermott calling plays in the fourth quarter? Because yes, the Ravens went away from running the ball, but the defense played different in the fourth quarter. They looked more aggressive. They looked like they were more hungry. They looked angry, and they looked like they wanted to make stops. As to where the other 3.5 quarters, they looked like they just didn't give a shit, and they were just going to get run all over. And there was no emphasis on trying to stop anybody. Guys were taking bad. They were just taking bad reads on plays, and it was just angles were horrible. And so I think you're onto something. And that's not, when you say that, it's almost like me defending you, because I believe that you understand what it means to have Bobby Babich has been here since McDermott's been here. He's not a bad coach. It's just that there's a lot of stuff that needs to be addressed that may not be able to be addressed right away. It might take the whole season for this defense to gel. And if it takes until December and they gel in December and they start kicking ass and looking like we thought they were gonna, that's fine. But we're gonna, and I've said this for 2 months, we're gonna take lumps until we get to that point. We're gonna take lumps until Hoyt and Ogunjobi come back, because they have rookies playing snaps, and now Ed Oliver's out. They're gonna take lumps. So anything else you want to add about the Bills linebacking core and what you think there? And then we could kind of touch on the DBs if you want to talk about the DBs a little bit. Like what did you think from week one about the Bills secondary? Like, is it as advertised, or what do you think?
So right quick, right? And again, it's only week one, but my frustration comes from exactly all the things that you said, right? And at the same time, it's week one. So I understand when everybody come, hey, Rich, it's week one. I get it, right? But do defensive line coach, revamp defensive line to come back with the same results in week one that made us get a new defensive line coach and a new defensive line, right? So, that is, in my opinion, what makes it frustrating. And now as you talk, and I came with a thought, now I'm curious to know, during Sean McDermott's tenure for the Buffalo Bills, playing against Derrick Henry, and if anybody could find this, you would be a genius. What is Derrick Henry's numbers against the Bills before Bobby Babich started calling plays?
Oh, before, I don't know.
Compared to when Bobby Babich started calling plays and faces Derrick Henry, right? So
I know he's got 11 touchdowns in 7 career games against the Bills. It's not good.
Really?
He's got like 600, almost 700, 800 yards, something like that. It's not good. And I don't know where because with Tennessee, there was some games where the Bills were able to shut them down. That was obviously pre-Bobby Babich. Since then, it would have been last year, the 200-yard game, the AFC divisional run, and then Sunday. So,
yeah, not good. So, hopeful improvements against the Jets.
So let's talk about the Bills secondary real quick, and then we'll kind of move on. So, are you concerned? Because I think we've beaten a dead horse about Cole Bishop, Taylor Rapp. I know how you feel about Taylor Rapp. You know how I feel about Taylor Rapp. I know how you feel about Cole Bishop. You know how I feel. The corners, I'm not so concerned with. I thought Dorian Strong held his own. I don't care what PFF grade he was given at the 68 or whatever. He was on Zay Flowers in the first part of that game, and he didn't give up anything big. According to PFF, also, he didn't give up any receptions. So I think we knew what was going to happen week one after we found out that obviously Maxwell Harrison's on IR, Tre'Davious White's not playing. So what's your thoughts overall? We can kind of summarize the Bills secondary, how they played. It's probably not a really good game to look at that, but Zay Flowers leads the NFL in receiving yards. So what's your thoughts overall on the Bills secondary?
I have to see more. I believe Zay Flowers, I think he's a good receiver. I like Zay Flowers a lot, actually. I know he got a bunch of yards, but I think a lot of that was, I don't know if it was communication, but he was just running free and wild. He was just young, wild, and free. Zay Flowers the whole game,
running in the field, waiting for a football.
So I'm not sure if this Baltimore Ravens game is a good barometer for the Buffalo Bills secondary, right? Even when I hear about Dorian Strong, he didn't allow any receptions. He didn't have to. They didn't have to.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's a big reason why. So when a team actually has to pass the ball a little bit, and there's actually plays and structure involved in the game, and we'll see how the secondary performs then. Right now, I don't want to say incomplete, but I will say I need to see more. Yeah, I need to see more.
And just because of your comments about saying it's only week 1 and people are freaking out. Stop saying, people are saying it's only week 1. It's only week 1. Did the Packers defense look really good in week 1? Yes. Did the Packers defense look really good in week 2? Yes. So it's possible for a lot of new moving parts on a defense to look good in week 1 and week 2. I'm not saying the sky is falling, but I'm saying it's going to be a work in progress. All right. So let's talk about the Jets offense against this Bills defense, because it's a very similar. We kind of touched on it a little bit earlier. You called them Baltimore light. Lamar had 6 carries for 70 yards and a touchdown. Justin Fields had 12 carries for 48 yards and 2 touchdowns. He threw for over 200 yards. Breece Hall averaged over 5 yards a carry. So is this a thing where the Bills just need to – I feel like the game last year against the Lions were – now, obviously, I'm not comparing the Lions to the Jets as far as offensively, but the Bills were able to get stops early, and then the Lions just couldn't keep up with the Bills' offense. Is this something where this is kind of what you think is going to happen this week, where the Bills just need to get out and score, and then they have to take the Jets, make them one-dimensional? So what's your thoughts there about the Jets' offense against the Bills' defense?
Have to show some resistance. The Buffalo Bills defensive line, the defensive front 7, they have to show some resistance against Justin Fields, Breece Hall, and that New York Jets rushing attack. Like I said last week, I believe when you have success running the football, it opens up so much more things offensively for the team that you're facing, especially teams that want to have success running the football and want to lean on that play action, right? So it all starts with the Buffalo Bills, stopping that run, setting the edge, making sure that everybody do their 111th, control your gap, win at the line of scrimmage. So it's imperative for the Buffalo Bills to stop Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, and Justin Fields. And obviously, offensively, you want to be able to put some pressure on the Jets defense so you could switch up the New York Jets offensive game plan, right? Because when you're scoring touchdowns and you do have that one stop, it changes the whole game script for the opposition's offensive coordinator, right? So I want to see some resistance to begin the game, because especially in the beginning of games, it just looks – the Buffalo Bills look like the Cincinnati Bengals for the first couple of drives of games, where there's no resistance. They don't want to get off they can't get off the field. They can't get off the field at third downs. So in the beginning of the games, no slow starts. We want to show some resistance, make them punt and get them off the field so we can get our offense on the field. So I just want to see some type of resistance from the Buffalo Bills defense to start the game.
Let me ask you this. In 2025, is Josh Allen a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers?
Absolutely.
Aaron Rodgers threw 4 touchdowns on the Jets defense. So take that for what you want. You do with that information, that nugget of information that you want. I just think that the Jets offense is not going to be able to keep up with the Bills offense. And like you said, it's just going to take a couple stops. And that's all it took. That's all it took Sunday night in the fourth quarter. Just a couple stops. Just got to get a couple stops, figure it out. And like you said, I want somebody on that defensive line. I don't care who it is. Make a couple big boy plays, whether it's a tackle for loss, whether it's a fumble, whether it's a strip sack, whatever it is. I want to see somebody on that defensive line just do something that's impactful. Because if there's no resistance and we play this bend but don't break and let them have 13 and 15 play drives, that's going to put your offense behind the 8 ball, because then you have to score with less time. So if you can play defensively with an edge, sort of an edgy defense, and obviously that the Bills need to get out front, because I think if the Bills get out in front, and I said this yesterday on 1st and 5, if the Bills get out in front, that lets that defensive line play with a little bit more swagger. Like, let them pin their ears back and try to go after the quarterback because they have a lead. So it's going to be interesting to see. I'm hoping, like you said, 40 points was 40 points. I'm hoping that the Bills can improve on 40 points. And McDermott even said, like, this was an ass whooping, and I guess he laid boots to ass during practice this week and in the film. So hopefully, they're going to take heed to his word and they're going to perform this week. So
we want this right quick. We want this ultimately for the Buffalo Bills. We want this
adversity
come time December and January and February. I'm gonna keep saying February. Gotta speak this into existence. We want this to be a silver lining for the Buffalo Bills. Why I say we want this to be a silver lining for the Buffalo Bills? We have Michael Hoyt out. We have Larry Ogunjobi out. We have Ed Oliver out now. this is giving our young players the opportunity to play, the opportunity to get that experience, the opportunity to get that exposure, the opportunity to get prepared for later on down the road, for later in the season. That way, when all of our horses do come back, the players that probably wouldn't have played if our horses was here in the beginning now have that necessary experience to come in and say, you know what, now I can contribute late in these games, late in the season, because I've gotten that experience that I probably wouldn't have gotten early in the season. And now we can make the entire defense as an entire unit overall a better unit for the Buffalo Bills. So we want this, hopefully we can be looking at these injuries and players suspended and not playing as a silver lining for the Buffalo Bills, as opposed to looking at these injuries and players not playing as a detriment to the Buffalo Bills because of struggles.
Yeah, I agree too. Adversity builds character, and if you get punched in the mouth, it's all about how you respond, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I love this comment right here. I'm not worried about the defense as long as we aren't playing the Ravens. You know what would fix that? Getting the 1 seed, winning as many games as possible and getting the 1 seed, and let the Chiefs and the Bengals and the Ravens just cannibalize themselves in the divisional round so we don't have to deal with it. That's the only way that cures that. And that's been the Bills. I feel like their mission statement all offseason right now and leading into now is we need the 1 seed. Before it was let's just win the East and get a home game. Now it's like they're preaching let's get that 1 seed. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see. I just, like you said, we're going to take lumps, right? And I feel like I don't know if it could get worse than this past Sunday. Now, we haven't – Lamar Jackson, say what you want, but they didn't really try to pass. But if we go against the Bengals, who have a prolific passer, we go against the Chiefs, who have a really good – obviously a really good quarterback, and teams that have really dynamic quarterbacks, then I think that's what we're going to see what this Bills defense is made of, because I believe this defense was built to get the quarterback. I don't think this defense was built to stop the run, because they didn't go and get a true number or a true 1 tech in the draft or in free agency. So we're going to have to see. I mean, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. So we'll have to see what happens there. All right. So keys to the game, Akeem, for the Buffalo Bills. You want to do offense or defense, or do we just want to do keys to the game overall for the Bills to get this W on?
Let's just wing it. Let's just do keys to the game, offense, defense, whatever comes up. Yep.
All right. What do you got first? What's your first key to the game for the Bills?
Get off the field on third downs. The Baltimore Ravens completed third down percentage was what, 55% third down percentage on third downs. The Buffalo Bills struggled to get off the field on third downs. Deja vu to last season, right?
Yeah, I was going to say that sounds familiar.
What have we been yearning for the Buffalo Bills defense on third downs? Get off the football field, make them punt. Let's get Josh Allen and our dynamic offense on the football field so we can make the plays. So keys to the game: defense, third down, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 11. Get off the football field, make your opponent punt the ball.
Yeah, to me, I mean, I have multiple, but to me, it's turnovers. Get some turnovers. I don't care if it's early, late, whatever. That's what the Bills did the best out of any team in the NFL last year, is get turnovers. If you look at the 2 Ravens games, the most previous 2 Ravens games, the Bills won the turnover battle in both games. Sure, there was only one this past Sunday, but it was at a point when the Bills really needed it. If you look at the divisional round last year, the Bills got 2 turnovers. I've seen a lot of stuff about people saying that it's not sustainable, this way the Bills defense played all of last year, when in fact it is sustainable. Sean McDermott has been all the way back to Philadelphia. His teams and his defenses have created turnovers. So I think to get Justin Fields rattled, to get this Jets offense off the field and get the ball back in Josh Allen's hand, because we didn't see any short fields on Sunday. Give Josh Allen a short field, let the Bills do their thing, and I think get back to what you did last year, and that is create turnovers, whether it's a strip sack, whether it's an interception, a fumble recovery, whatever it is, we need to get some turnovers. All right, what's your next key to the game, Akeem?
The Baltimore Ravens ran for 238 yards against the Buffalo Bills last Sunday. The New York Jets rushed for 182 yards as a team against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Breece Hall, 19 attempts, 107 yards. Justin Fields, 48 yards and 2 touchdowns. Stop the run. Stop the run. If you're the Buffalo Bills defense, you want to stop the run. You want to be able to make them more of a one-dimensional team. You want to put now Justin Fields. He looked good. He looked good last week. You know, he looked efficient. 16 for 22, 218 yards, one touchdown. It wasn't mind-blowing stats, but he was efficient and he looked good in his game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. We want to put Justin Fields in obvious passing situations. We want Justin Fields to beat us with his arm. So let's stop the run for the New York Jets. Stop Breece Hall, stop Braylon Allen, stop that rushing attack, and put it on the arm of Justin Fields.
Yeah, I love it. My second key to the game is we need to score early. The Bills need to get ahead in this game and don't look back. I think it's not going to be a track meet, but I want the Bills to get ahead because of the stuff that we talked about for the last hour, is the being able to stop the run, the secondary, being concerned about what the Bills defense is going to look like without Ed Oliver. I think if you get ahead and you play with the lead, it's a different game. You can bleed the clock. You can lean on the run game a little bit more. Joe Brady can get in his bag a little bit more, and you can see more exotic things that we didn't get to see because the Bills were playing from behind for most of that game. So to me, it's score early and score often as early as possible, because I believe if you make the Jets, like you said, make the Jets one-dimensional and make Justin Fields have to beat the Bills, and I'm pretty confident. I think Justin Fields is on the uptick, and I think he's a lot better than people give him credit for, but if you have to make Justin Fields and the New York Jets beat you in the passing game, I think that's a win for the Bills. I honestly do. So, all right, players to step up. Unless you have any more keys to the game, Akeem.
Nah, I think we 2 each. I think that's
okay.
Substantial enough.
All right, so players for you that need to step up for the Bills to come out with a win tomorrow. What's your thoughts?
I like that, James Cook. James Cook, you got that contract extension. You've been highly vocal throughout the course of the offseason. Not nagging, but you've been vocal in terms of what you wanted and how you feel that you deserve more money, and how you feel that you are one of the better backs in the NFL and you should be paid as such. Well, tomorrow's game, I would love to see James Cook perform to his salary. Right? I want to see him run the ball. I want to see him be fierce between the tackles. I want to see him have the ability to bounce the football outside. I want to see, when they think about the Buffalo Bills offense, it shouldn't just be about Josh Allen anymore. It shouldn't be like, oh, Josh Allen has to do everything. No, James Cook is a star in this NFL. He is a household name in this league. And tomorrow's game, I would love to see him play like that. So James Cook, a lot more production in tomorrow's game than he did last week in week 1.
I like it. I have a few, but before I do that, if you guys are watching, there's almost 400 people in here between all of our platforms. Please smash the like button. Just hit the like button. Like I always say, if you like the show, please like the show, literally. If you could subscribe on YouTube, share on Facebook, drop more comments in there. Even if you're watching this after we're live, drop your comments, put game predictions in there, players you want to see step up, things like that. But to me, there's a comment in there from No Bones About It, and he took the.
I was going to ask you about that.
We all want to talk about the defensive line. We all want to talk about the defensive line. I want to see the captain of the one of the 2 captains of the team who got paid in the offseason, and old reliable Matt Milano. I want to see both of those guys make, and I don't care about splash plays. I want consistency. I want you to be able to support the run. I want you to see what you can do in coverage. I want all that stuff. So to me, the first 2 guys I thought of were Matt Milano and Terrell Bernard. I need they have to improve. They have to improve over last week. There's no bones about it. Like, these guys are 2 of the most dynamic linebackers the Bills have had in a very long time. Matt Milano is playing out the end of his big contract that he got. Terrell Bernard just got paid and extended this offseason. So these guys need to go out there and earn every bit of that, to me. So
I like that.
All right, who else you got, Akeem?
Let's go back to another comment from No Bones About It. He says Shakir needs to have a better week, and I bring that up not that I agree, but I will say that Josh Palmer or Keon Coleman has to have a big week. Somebody that you have to compound weeks. I know Josh Palmer, he had a good game, 5 receptions, 61 yards. I know Keon Coleman had 8 receptions, over 100 yards. Can you do it again this week? Because I believe, now that I'm watching the Buffalo Bills offense. We've been watching for some time. Shakir is a great receiver. We signed him for a reason, but I'm starting to believe that he is the security blanket for Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. He is the what you would call for tight ends. Tight ends is usually the security blanket for quarterbacks. Well, Shakir is the security blanket for Josh Allen, and we need another guy beyond our security blanket to step up and make plays. And Josh Palmer or Keon Coleman, one if not both of those guys, need to have another strong week. So Keon Coleman, Josh Palmer, hopefully one of those guys can step up and be a separator for Josh Allen on the outside in the Buffalo Bills offense.
I do like that comment, and here's why. Because Shakir did have 6 for 64. So
yeah.
I do think that the emergence of Keon Coleman and showing the trust in how, I don't want to say how dynamic Joshua Palmer was, but he made some really good plays. That might free up Khalil Shakir, because I feel like defenses were always going to key on Khalil Shakir because last year he was like Josh's safety blanket, like you said. So to me, I don't think we need to do the bubble screen stuff with Khalil Shakir all the time. I think it's old, and I think there's film on it, and the Ravens just said, go ahead, keep doing it. It's not going to work. So being able to use more of the route tree for Khalil Shakir, because I think he is more than just your typical slot receiver. I think he can do a lot of the other stuff. So having Keon have that big game is going to, I think, benefit Khalil Shakir. If that sounds crazy, I just, if it continues where Josh looks at Coleman the way he did in that fourth quarter, it's going to be just, for everybody else on this roster, they're going to eat. Like the everybody eats mantra. Like if Keon's going for 6 or 7 or 8 receptions for 100 yards, those other guys are going to be able to get theirs too. So it's really nice to see. So, all right, is there anybody else that you have for players that need to step up for the Bills?
Yeah, I have one more. Christian Benford.
Okay.
Garrett Wilson last week. What was his numbers? He had 7 receptions, 95 yards, a touchdown. He's obviously the best receiver for the New York Jets. Yeah. I'm not even sure if I can name another Jet receiver right now. And because I can't name another, I think is it Jennings, maybe Jennings, Reynolds, Josh Reynolds. Okay, I named another Josh Reynolds.
I think he was out of practice all week too.
Really?
I think so.
So that'd be interesting. Hold Garrett Wilson. Hold down Garrett Wilson. He cannot, especially if they don't have, right? Well, name-wise, if they don't have that other guy that they can go to take pressure off of Garrett Wilson, there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to key in on Garrett Wilson, take him out the game, and thus other players out the game as well. So if we can stop Garrett Wilson on the outside, I think that would be helpful for the Buffalo Bills defense.
You kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier, and I kind of touched on it too, is Joey Bosa and Greg Rousseau. Can we see something? I mean, Joey Bosa, like, I think we were all kind of skeptical. What are we going to get? We don't know. Injury early on in camp, and then Greg Rousseau just got paid. Modest contract for a defensive end, but he did get paid, and the Bills believe that he is a cornerstone of this defense. So I need to see something. I need to see an impactful play. There needs to be a part of this game where I can say, there's Greg Rousseau. Okay. It's nice. So those guys for me and those guys for Akeem, those are our players that need to step up this week. All right.
Absolutely.
Before we get out of here, score prediction. You want to go first? You want me to go first? How you want to do it?
I want to hear what you got. What you got going on? What you got going on, DM3?
I think it's going to be, and I hate playing the Jets because whenever I feel like it's going to be one of those games, it's going to be ugly and it's going to be like just a crapshoot. Like the Bills end up blowing the Jets out. And then whenever I feel really good about the Bills, that it's one of those games where it's kind of ugly for a while. I feel like this is going to be an uncomfortable game for a little bit, but I do feel like, and I mentioned this yesterday, Sean McDermott has gotten a lot of slack for his in-game management. But one thing that he doesn't get a ton of credit for is how he is able to make adjustments at halftime. I feel like this might be one of those games where it's kind of iffy in the first half, although one of my keys to the game was for the Bills to score early, that they have to do that. So I feel like this is one of those games where it's kind of iffy for a little bit, and at maybe like a 17-10 score at halftime. But I think the Bills pull away and they win by 10. I got them winning 34-24. And I think the points in the end are probably a little bit of garbage time points for the Jets. I think the Bills' offense is just too good for the Jets' defense. I feel like Josh Allen is going to continue on this trend of I'm on another level. I'm on a mission. I think that win in that stadium for the Bills' final home opener, the 1,000th game played in that stadium, I think it was, it's one of those games the Bills don't win and they won. So maybe it's an omen. I'm being a little superstitious, but yeah, I feel like the Bills are going to pull this one out. It's going to be close early, but I feel like the Bills are going to pull away and win by 10 at the end.
I feel the exact same way. I believe that this game is going to be closer than any of us Bills fans would like. Even maybe uncomfortable at times, especially in the first half. I don't think the Jets are, this tomato can team. I do think they have some weapons there. I do think, a new coach is going to give them some extra juice, especially coming off a loss and everywhere. Everybody think that they played well, and then now they playing in New Jersey, MetLife Stadium, the Buffalo Bills. They don't have that home crowd at their backs if they get down this game. I got it 31-20 Buffalo. I believe the second half, like you said, Sean McDermott, the Buffalo Bills coaching staff, they're going to make the necessary adjustments to pull away in this game and claim victorious. So I got the Buffalo Bills winning by a score of 31-20 over the New York Jets.
I like it. That's our score predictions. You guys drop your score predictions down in the comment sections. Well, this was our preview of the Bills and Jets. Let us know what you think in the comment section. Let us know your thoughts. Are the Bills going to win? What's your thoughts on Ed Oliver, the Bills defense, the Bills wide receivers, everything that we touched on, as we always do. Hey, Rich, take us out of here, man.
Hey, Akeem Richens, DM3, Dave Myers. This is Built in Buffalo. You're in tune with Billsology. We appreciate everybody for joining us in the broadcast tonight. DM3 is going to be available tomorrow post game, right?
Yeah.
You want to be
Yes,
posting?
sir.
Oh, you got somebody that you got
Just
somebody
me.
with you? Hey. I'll be tuning in. I'll be at work, but I'll definitely be tuning in. Tune into the Bills and Buffalo post game show tomorrow with Dave Myers, as we hopefully can discuss a victory for the Buffalo Bills over the New York Jets. This has been A Rich. That is DM3. We are Billsology. Until next week, ladies and gentlemen, go Bills.
Go Bills.